Jackson podcast. I am excited to have my guest here today. She is an amazing singer, songwriter, actor, and we're on the set of our new film, The Jesus Freak 2,
Yes.
the sequel. And because when this comes out, everybody, because no one's supposed to know that we did a sequel to this movie. It's supposed to be a surprise, but by the time this airs or plays, everybody will know.
Make me so happy.
A ballad's gonna be easier for me.
Okay.
Not a lot of words, not too fast, not too,
I don't think you realize how talented you are.
Something I can do well. I think I just proved myself wrong. Doesn't really sell much for us.
You just inspired me again.
Feel the weight on my soul.
A prompting, and it's an opportunity from God. We have lost sight of what this is about. When what goes on between us is in direct opposition of what we're teaching and what the church stands for, of course it's their business and it should be addressed. Maybe it's just me. Or thought.
I would say that we need a decision within the next 2 to 3 weeks.
Okay, we can definitely make that happen.
I'm trying to be a human being. I'm trying to be a wife. I'm trying to be supportive.
Listen for a second. You have no faith or courage in us and our ability to make a difference and to make a change.
Don't you worry, don't be lonely. Heaven knows, heaven knows. In a dry and weary land, a flower grows. This desert rose. This desert rose.
Want to get pizza?
Yes, I do. I'm hungry.
You hungry? Pizza it is.
Pizza?
Yes. So, thank you for doing the podcast.
Of
How are you?
course. I'm wonderful. How are you today?
I am amazing. I'm amazing.
Thank you. I know you are.
And and people, I don't know if some people follow both of us on social media, and I had to have you on the podcast as a guest because 2 reasons. A, we have a movie to promote, right?
Right.
And we're going to talk about that and what that process was like to make the film and what you and your process to become the character again.
Sure.
But also, we always have we have totally different views on.
Just one thing.
We have different views when it comes to relationships and marriages. And I think it's a laundry list. But anyway, so I want to talk to you about that. So let's dive into the movie because we don't have a lot of time.
Okay.
So let's dive into the movie. What was that like to become Kirsten again for the movie part 2?
Yeah. This time was, I would say in Jesus Freak Part 1, it was a very relatable character for me, but even more so now for Jesus Freak 2 because, lots has happened in these past 7-8 years.
8 years, yeah.
Life be lifing,
Life, jeez. Man.
And I've learned so much. And the character in this film and where her and Kristen and Ed is just a very relatable, very relatable for me, more so than even last time. And just because I feel like I have I've been able to just feel the character more. And I have, even you allowing me and Derek to, Ed, my husband, to be able to, do monologue and be more in our emotions in this film. So it's been great.
Yeah, one of the things I've noticed in the making of this movie is it took on kind of a life of its own, energy-wise. It started out thinking it was going to be one way, and it's totally better than what we anticipated.
Yes, because it was just so real.
It's so real.
It pulled out so many emotions of so many of the different characters that were just very real to our own personal situation, and we got to marry that with our character. And I mean, like I told you, it even inspired the song that
that's in the movie.
That's in the movie now.
We shot a scene of the song that you wrote. It's in the movie.
Yes, and it's called "I'm Sorry." And it was also...
Talk a little bit about the song, I'm Sorry, and what it's about, and what does it mean?
Yeah, so in the film, me and Ed, my husband, have, we've had parts that, I think we grew stronger, but then there's another side that we've grown apart. Mm-hmm. And in the film, we're really trying to work through that, and he's wanting to get back into ministry, and I'm not wanting to get back into ministry, and he's in a very unhappy place with his life, and I'm in a very happy place with my life and where we are in the film. I think it, in relationships, I've even been in the past where you're not really on the same page. Mm-hmm. It pulled out some of that from before, and how you stay in relationships to try to make them work, but when one person's not happy and they expect something different from you, it's just like this tug of war at your heart. Right. And in the film, Ed is really unhappy and still searching for himself, and the song is about that. The song is about saying, I'm sorry I can't be where you are. I'm really trying to make this work. I'm here for you, but I'm also compromising now just to be here for you, part of who I am. Right.
Yeah, when I first heard the song, the melody was so powerful. But when I heard the lyrics, and then there was one take we did where you actually teared up. Mm-hmm. You started to cry a little bit. That was very touching to see how it affected you, even in character, because it's true to life. Mm-hmm. And at the same time, it's part of the character that you're playing. Yeah. So how long have you been singing? Because you've never been on my podcast. So how long have you been singing? What got you started? Give us a little backstory.
Sure. I started singing for as long as I can remember. Talent shows in grade school, and then by the time I was in high school, I started working with a talent agency in State College, Pennsylvania.
You from Pennsylvania?
I'm from Pennsylvania.
I keep thinking Ohio for some reason. I don't know why. It's the Midwest, I guess. No, it's not really the Midwest.
Northeast,
though. It's Northeast, yeah.
But where I'm from is a small town in central Pennsylvania.
Okay.
So, I started singing and writing really, really young. I think I wrote my first song in grade school, but I started then writing songs and performing out with a band that I played with in high school. So by the time I graduated high school, I was performing all over central Pennsylvania with the band. And it was a cover band, but we snuck in our original music as well.
Nice. Mm-hmm. You did R&B, gospel? What was you doing?
No.
Reggae?
I've been very eclectic over the years in my style. So I've, changed it up over the years. And back then it was more pop, but with a more alternative.
Oh, it's pop. Okay. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Alternative pop, basically.
Yeah, rock. We had some influence of
I could see rock.
Even some punk influence.
I could see that.
Yeah. But it was fun. It was a lot of fun. I learned a lot. I sang a lot back then, and 3 hours a night usually. Right. Had a lot of fun and created some really great memories with my bandmates. So.
Right. So, what made you get into Christian music?
Mm-hmm. So when I was there, I was really searching for myself too. That was my outlet. When I found the band and was able to, find them and write and play out, and I think I went a little crazy, right. Young. I was 18, 19, and, the whole party lifestyle, being
Right.
young. So I knew I wanted to make a change, and I also knew I didn't want to just sing cover music my whole life.
Right,
So
right.
I moved to Dallas, Texas, and I signed with Top of the Line Entertainment, and I recorded my first full album, and that was also a pop album, but more with R&B and soul influence.
Good. So she's the only white African American I know.
What? Don't listen to him. He
She's
just
a white African American. That's what she is. So R&B, gospel. I asked, the question was, when did you start singing gospel?
gospel. I never sang gospel.
You never sang gospel?
Well, gospel is a style, right?
You know what I meant. Kristen, see, this is what this is why I never had you as a guest on this show, because you like to play. Okay, we still on live. Let me be quiet. Let me shut up.
Okay, no, I did have some gospel influence in some of my songs. But I did my first Christian album in 2024. And yeah, when I moved here, I also started going to the Potter's house. Yeah. And
I'm not. Hey, this is your interview.
I know he wants to say something. We'll leave that off the show.
I ain't saying nothing.
And yeah, I gave my life to God on the altar there, and I could not write about the things I used to write about, and then I started doing Christian CCM, the hint of gospel sound in
So you
there.
put the weed on the table and the incense at the altar.
No, man, I still burn that incense.
And and we will see a little bit of that in the movie, actually. It's kind of
Nothing wrong with incense.
it's kind of interesting how that plays out in the movie. Yeah. Your process. What's the difference between this movie and the first one that you see differently in terms of just the movie, the process itself? What was the biggest differences for you?
The biggest difference is being able to go off script and just be really organic with our characters. Like, I think that this film took on a whole different personality because you allowed us to
go off script, right.
And to really create. And
Right.
I know for me and Derek, my husband Ed, he also shines in that.
The first movie. That was one of the things that I noticed about the first film. We were just so on script that what I noticed, there was a couple scenes in the movie that we went off script, and those to me were the best scenes in the movie.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, when you have great actors that you can go take off script for a quick second, then why not use them? And we did a lot of that in this one because it was so much emotion.
Yes.
And so real, especially, I won't give away the movie, but there's some pieces in there that gets really, really, there was one scene we shot that I literally started crying, and one of the crew members had to console me because I've never done that on set, just bursted out crying. But because it was just all the elements, what Derek does.
Yes, he's amazing.
I mean, he kills this movie. When I tell
really
you,
does.
Derek, we're shooting this like before Christmas, but we're shooting this, kind of in a way where we can't really talk about the film. But I'll just put it this way: Derek's performance in this film, if there is a way for him to get nominated for an Oscar, he should definitely be considered. I mean, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Because he did stuff in this one that, like in the first film, he did an amazing job, but in this one, there's something different, don't you think?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. And again, I think it goes back to life be life and going through things personally, like all of us have. And I think another thing is that all of us have gotten to know each other even more. Me and Derek actually met on the set of Jesus Freak 1.
Yep, sure did.
We've become actually really good friends, and same
Right.
with me and you,
You and
and
you, yeah.
there's so much more synergy between us as cast family.
Right. Exactly.
And I think that also made a huge difference because
Right.
we actually work really well together.
Right, we do. We work.
We might get mad at each
Yeah,
other here.
we work together. We work together better than we are friends.
Yeah.
No, it's cool. But no, I agree with everything you're saying, and I feel like when you guys see this film, I mean, when we're filming this, obviously, we can, I guess, say a little bit about some of the scenes. But there's one scene, like I said, there's several scenes, but there's one scene in particular between you and Derek that happens, and we won't give away the story,
Yeah.
but when we actually shot on this particular set, and Ricardo makes an appearance. He makes a small appearance, guys, very small, because I didn't really want to bring back the whole cast as much as I wanted the story to bring back the cast. You know what I mean? So if the story that we agreed on, if it made sense to bring back everybody, then we would have definitely done that. But this story just went a different. I think we all agreed that this story was probably the better story to tell.
Yeah.
And but anyway, there's a scene that Ricardo makes a little cameo in, and I remember, and without giving it away, there's a moment where you snap. And guys, Crystal, when she snaps, N-word. When she snaps,
Just in character, guys.
wow. Talk a little bit about, but without giving it away, talk a little bit about the hypocrisy of church. Because that's really what that scene is about in a way. It's about someone who's telling you to put on an act,
Yeah.
but at the same time trying to judge you for your act.
Yeah.
Or judge you for your personal decisions.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about that, because we talk about that a lot.
Yeah, we
We
do.
do agree on that kind of
Yes.
stuff.
Yeah, that's why I said we agree on
Yeah,
most stuff.
absolutely.
Well, as a topic, I can easily have a lot of passion in just because of being in ministry. Like the character of Kirsten, she got very upset when her husband was, I guess I can't say too much, but
Right,
somebody else in the film brought up something
right.
that happened that she made a mistake one night from almost a decade ago. It was like 7-8 years prior.
Right.
And, my character got very, very upset. And it's like your typical,
Right.
in the film, church folks that want to, keep bringing things up and holding you to your past and holding you hostage to what you did so long ago. And it's very much a real life scenario in the church we find, I had one lady, when I had my first son, she knew I wasn't married when I had him. And, she says to me, and she's actually very well known in the CCM world.
You got to tell me off camera
Okay.
who it was.
Oh, okay.
Off
Yeah.
camera.
Okay, I'll tell you. And she told me that every time, if I wanted to be in Christian music, that every time I get on a platform, I need to tell everybody my sin and that I had a baby and I wasn't married. And
Are you serious?
I am so serious. And
I
it,
definitely
like,
got to know who that is.
it
Wow.
crushed me because even
course.
back then, I had so much to learn. I was just hungry to
Right.
learn about God, still making mistakes.
Right.
How somebody can look at my situation, my beautiful child, and even say something
Right.
so, to me now, it's just disgusting, And I'm so proud of my kids, and nobody can make me feel bad
Absolutely
about
not.
that now.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so, but then it actually, because of who she was, and I was like, what? And she's in ministry, and I'm like thinking, oh, I have to get up and talk about having a child, and I wasn't married.
Right.
And, now all these years later, look at all the married people in ministry cheating on each
Come
other
on.
and all the
Yep.
things and not being
Yep.
real to who they are, which is
Yep.
why my platform, if you follow me, is I give the happiness tip of the day, is all about just being real and authentic with who you are.
I agree. Yep.
And I think religion has just honestly been our worst
Right.
advocate towards keeping us from who we are,
Right.
not really truly seeking God, but the approval of others and the
Right.
approval of people in ministry to validate who we are and what we need to do with our lives.
Well, make no mistake, there's a difference, and I think we both agree to this. There's a difference between religion and God, anyway.
Absolutely.
I mean, religion is man serving serving man. It's a way for man to control and manipulate other men. But serving God really requires you to go the opposite direction of church.
Absolutely.
If you really think about it, I mean, you can't even connect to source, as we call it, or God, unless you're able to strip yourself of all the dogma and the things that you've been told,
Yes.
and really connect to nature and to the real spirit of the thing. There's a scene in a movie called Phenomena. I don't know, it's an old movie from when I was a kid almost. John Travolta, and well, I should say when I was younger, because I think I was a young adult. And there's a scene in the movie where he's standing outside, and he just starts doing this, and he's listening to the wind, and then the trees are moving, and he's moving with that in synergy with everything.
Yes.
That's God.
That is God.
That's God.
Yeah.
And this part of it that John Travolta does in the movie, that whole thing, the church actually keeps you away from that.
Yes.
And they replace it with synthetics like music, dancing, whatever, preaching.
Yes.
It's excitement. And I'm not saying people
Yeah.
don't get, we're not saying that church is bad. We're saying when you replace it with God,
Yeah.
or make that God as opposed to understanding there's a difference between the two, then that's when you start having a lot of judgmental things, because now the power is in the man to talk about you as opposed to you connecting to God to fix whatever that needs to be fixed. I mean, would I be wrong in saying that? Or?
Completely agree. It's interesting that the word in religion is legion.
Yep.
You know?
Yep.
And if we really get into that etymology of words.
Religion.
Yeah. Repeat with
the legions, your demons. Yes.
And it's like pledging allegiance.
Pledging allegiance. That's another way.
Yeah.
We're going Carlton Pearson on them now.
Yeah. But when you get into that etymology of words and you like learn how much black magic actually has been sprinkled into our English language in church.
In church.
In the Bible. And we agree on this too.
We agree on this. Yeah, we agree.
Yeah, King James himself was
a known Satanist.
Satanist.
If you even the word Jesus was not his name. Jesus actually was a name from a deity that was evil, honestly. Mm-hmm. The real name of Jesus is Yahuwah or Yahusha.
It was never even a J back then.
And it wasn't even J. Well, that's why I said the Y, right?
Yeah.
Yahuwah, Yahusha. There was no J. You're absolutely correct. Mm-hmm. And that name was a deity that was used called, I don't know if it was Jewisit or Jujas. I forget the actual pronunciation of it. Mm-hmm. But it wasn't Jesus. And so when we say, some people believe, and I'm not going to say which you should or shouldn't believe, but some people believe, and I'm one of those people, that when you say the name Jesus, you may not be actually talking to the person from heaven. You might be talking to another entity. Mm-hmm. And so I always say the Most High, because that way we kind of covering ourselves, because we know the devil ain't the Most High.
Yes.
You know, we know that if we say the Most High, if we say Yahuwah, speaking in Hebrew, we know that there's a better chance of us really reaching the real creator of all things, which is an entity, a spirit, as more than an entity.
Yeah. But what's interesting in the Christian faith, we learn so much. There's like power in the name, right? There's power in the name. There's so much emphasis on the name that they didn't even get right. Like that translation came out in, is it the 16th? I forget when. But when they created the J. But prior to that, there was a whole nother name. And if there was power in the original name, it doesn't lose. You can't turn it into another name. That's like a transliteration, if I saying that word correctly. Right. Names don't change when you're doing different translations.
Absolutely not.
So
it'd be like if you go to France and they say, my name is Carl.
You're still Carl.
I'm still, right, exactly.
Yeah. So if you go back to the original name, there's definitely power in the sounds of
the real name. Right. Mm-hmm. What do you think the reason why, and this is going to kind of segue into the family stuff that we disagree on. What do you think the reason why the church was so adamant about tricking us? Because, obviously, you take the word Vatican, the word Vatican actually is translated to an underworld god.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know that, but the word Vatican actually, the root word of that is an underworld goddess. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
But why do you think the church, which is to me still under the thought of Catholicism, why do you think the church is so adamant about destroying our connection with faith, the real, true, and living God?
I think this will go back to woe who call those what is evil good and good evil.
Right.
And so it is a very large effort to convince, brainwash, MK Ultra,
Right.
since the time you came out of your mother's womb,
Right.
to program you.
Right.
You know, literally, you know, what's what television is, televisions, let's program, we're putting on a channel, even the channel, it's all very spiritual.
You're channeling evil or good when you watch the television.
Yeah, but if you're programmed since the day you were born that something is good that was meant to harm you, which is what even the missing books of the Bible. One of the books that has changed my life and spoke to me more than ever was the Book of Thomas, which was one of the books that, you know, and
Enoch changed me. The Book of Enoch changed me,
And so, like, without all the books and just taking in and taking out parts that actually show us how to tap into our power.
Right.
If we did that, we wouldn't have our pharmaceutical companies today.
Wouldn't.
We're not going to be eating the food and junk that's out there. We're not going to be sending our kids to public schools. We're not going to be doing all the things that make these elitists. I don't even like to say that. Word, but the people that, you know,
I got you. The people that call themselves elitist.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I always say, when they say the elite, I always go, just because you call something doesn't mean it's what it is.
Yeah.
Elite is really a really horrible term for what they really are.
It's the imitation of
of
like
elites.
That's what they do. They'll steal something, like that's what it's
It's like,
right? And it makes the imitation of what God has already created.
Hollywood's the same way. I mean, I'm in the industry. I always say film industry. I never say Hollywood because, you know, stars, people don't understand that when you say the word stars and you see the Walk of Fame, you're actually talking about the fallen stars from heaven that came out of heaven, the legion of demons that came out of heaven. Falling star, that's what that whole concept of falling star means. And so when you go down in Hollywood, you see these stars, some believe, and I'm one of those believers, that you're actually worshiping some of these deities that are demons that call themselves stars. The real stars are the ones who comes from light. But they've some kind of way, as you said earlier, twisted that into making us think that if you are of light, then you are the lesser, and then the stars are the ones that are fallen from heaven.
So true. And like you said, like even in nature, like fire and water and these things that are natural are somehow, even with the herb sage, like deemed as, you know, something bad when we have. So we're looking at the natural things as if there's something demonic about them, but then have a whole
astrology.
Yes, yes. And
then we have a whole pharmacy, as you
where it is the source of sorcery and witchcraft, and it's the one thing that's happening to not like. That kills more people than anyone.
Right.
The pharmaceutical industry.
Right.
It disconnects people from who they are. It disconnects the body and the mind and the soul from.
Right.
And to heal, you have to have those three things working together. So, but the church folks seem to not want to acknowledge what really is destroying our country, or our people, or keeping them from God and disconnected from source and God. You know? Right,
absolutely. So that brings us to the next part, which is the family. You're actually going, yeah. She's ready. She's like,
no.
Yeah. Put him up. Okay, so listen. We're gonna. We gotta do this. We have to do this. Okay. What is your view on marriage? Let's just start there.
Really, Carl?
Come on.
It's the union of.
Oh no. We're not finna do that. No. Okay. Let me paraphrase. Okay, I'll be nice. So my interpretation of marriage is a man and a wife come together, create a union, build together. The man is the head, the woman is the person that follows the head, and the kids follow the woman. And then they become one flesh. And it's not a thing where, even though you're supposed to be submissive to your husband,
And you're supposed to be submissive to
each other. Yeah, we're supposed to be submissive to each other. I agree. If you're married, you're supposed to be submissive to one another. But the head of a family to me is the man, only because he's the most logical out of the two. She feels differently, and I want to know why.
Well, you put some words in my mouth there, Carl.
Oh, now I'm putting words in your mouth.
Yeah.
Okay, let's cut the camera off and let's see what the words gonna sound like if ain't nobody listening.
First of all, going back to finding out who we are, I think that we are.
Are you gonna give me the politician answer?
No, I'm gonna get to it.
Okay.
But men and women, we have lost who we are in our role, and I think we're in a really, really trauma-filled society that has been led astray.
Oh, you're
And
good.
so-
You're good. She's good.
So-
Go ahead. Okay, I'm done. I'm sorry. She's full up right now.
No! I'm saying you can't expect somebody to lead that doesn't know who they are.
Okay.
So in its proper
All right,
place.
I'm following you. All right.
In its proper place, yes. And protect what? What?
In its proper place, yes, you agree with me?
Yes. Now, your definition of leading is much different, I think, in mine. Is where we might agree on some things, but leading, when you're in a woman is leading part of this too. Women are spiritual. There's different sides to the feminine and the masculine, right? Mm-hmm. And this is why I think it's so important to know who we are, because even ourselves are feminine and masculine energy. The left side of your brain is the masculine side, right? It's feminine. Within ourselves, we have masculine and feminine energy. And some people act too much on one side. And most of that is due to our trauma and what we've been taught or not taught. And that's why I said a lot of us are a mess just trying to figure out who we are. So it's very hard to have a relationship with another person when we're all still trying to figure out who we are, because we've been lied to so much. And I think it's a beautiful thing that's happening right now across the world, because we are waking up to who we are. We're hungry. We're tired of the trauma or living there and doing things the way that our mom or dad did it or grandparents did it. And, we're trying to figure out what the right thing is. And sometimes we act and maybe we're not ready to act yet. Like I told you, I'm still discovering who I am as a woman. I don't have all the answers. I'm just now becoming comfortable in my femininity, I grew up in an area that's like, girls are a little rougher, I would not wear pink.
Right.
I would not be a girl that would go to the bathroom with a purse on me because I didn't want them to know anything that maybe I'm doing a girl thing in there. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so I think there's a process of moving to Dallas was the best thing, because girls are really girly here. So, they're doing their nails and they look more feminine and, help me get a little bit more balance. But I'm saying that this is a process in learning and discovering who we are, going through relationships that are not great, to teach us who we are.
Right. So what about the people who have made it work, been married 30, 40, 50 years, under the system of the man is the head and the woman is to follow? There's a lot of marriages that are still that way.
Yeah.
How do you feel about those type of marriages then?
I think it's great if they're happy, if they're doing life and they're fulfilled and they support each other and they love each other and they respect each other. I think it's a beautiful thing. That's why I'm not anti-marriage at all, but I am anti-staying in a marriage where there's abuse. I'm anti-staying in a marriage. There, one person thinks that they're superior above another person.
But see, the word superior, when you use that word, explain what that means, because a lot of people think that superior is what a lot of men are saying when they say they are the head, and that's not what they're saying.
Yeah, you might not be, but there are truly some deep-rooted, even elements of Christianity, even elements of different cultures where, I mean, this is deep-rooted patriarchy that really truly believe that they are superior. And I think that that's like very dysfunctional, because you bring a woman, or you look at as a woman as if she is beneath you, not your equal, and you don't do life together. You're doing life as if she's like almost a slave. So if you have a 30-year marriage, you know, where we had back in the day when my grandparents were together, my gram couldn't get out. She's had 11 kids at home. You know, my grandfather paid, so it didn't matter what he did to her. She's stuck, you know? So
But
I think,
what if she didn't feel stuck though? What if she enjoyed that?
what if she didn't?
But what if she did? This is our argument. But what if she did?
If she did, great. That's what I'm saying. I support anyone.
And that's
that
my
is-
issue, is like a lot of times it seems like women today, they're so far left to the other side of that, as opposed to being fair. There are
Yeah.
some women that enjoy being a wife. They want their husband
That's
to lead.
beautiful.
They want their husband
That's great,
They
and that-
want to be subservient to their husband. Some
Yeah.
women enjoy that.
Yeah. Well, I personally love serving. Like, I love taking
But you
care
don't
of
want to be
people.
subservient.
I don't want to do it when something is expected or I'm viewed as
But I'm saying the women that love that their husband expect that from them, they're not lesser women. They're not lesser powerful just because they see it that way, right?
yeah. But this is where you get all different types of people that think different ways. Like, I had a dad that was a great husband. Like, he loved
Right. His wife.
his
Yeah.
wife. Do anything for
Right.
her.
But it lacked in this other area. Right. I got you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got you. Well, okay, but here's what I'm saying. I'm saying, like, is it all? I guess my only argument to our discussions, because we have these discussions all the time. She's being nice right now. I don't know why.
Well, yesterday you said something.
Well, what did I say?
You said, men are from the light and women are not. Okay, maybe not in that voice,
I did
but
not
it
use
felt
that
like it.
goofy voice. I didn't use that
I was
goofy
like, oh no, he didn't just say men are from the light
so
now.
here's what I actually said, guys. What I said was, men were created directly from God. We're gonna make man in our image. Created he man, but he made woman out of man. He took a rib out of a man and created woman. So woman is an extension of man. I'm just going by the Bible that you read.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh,
so
my
anyway,
Bible says something different though.
well,
Actually, it says two different things.
Okay, let me
One
finish.
in Genesis,
Let me finish.
both in Genesis.
Let me finish my
actually.
point. Let me finish my
Okay,
point.
sorry.
Okay, so I told her, I said that women, when they're following their husband or their father, their biological father or their husband, then she's going to be more likely connected to God than a woman who does not follow her husband or her father. Because a woman who doesn't follow her husband or the Father, our Father who art in heaven, if you don't follow, then Satan can play that position in that woman's life. So that's what I meant when I made the comment. That a woman wasn't created, because that's the truth. The woman, if you go by what King James said, woman
Oh,
wasn't
now
created.
you want to listen to King James. Now he wants to listen to King James. He jacked everything else up, but just not that part. Y'all
Well,
see how
just
church folks are? See, this is how.
just because he was a known Satanist doesn't mean that he didn't still tell some truth in the Bible.
That's what the devil does.
He
Partial
always
truths,
mixes it, right, exactly.
This is why I learned a long time ago you got to read that with discernment, you know?
Okay.
And wisdom, because one person can read something completely different than
Right.
another. But in Genesis, there are two different stories. In the first part of Genesis, it says that God created man and woman at the same time in his image. And this is
Which scriptures is that?
This is the Lilith. This is the story of when...
Oh, you're talking about the Lilith. Okay.
This is
gotcha.
when God created Adam and Lilith, which was the other part that's been extracted from the Bible. So of course it doesn't...
okay, that's fair enough. Because if we're going to bring in Book of Enoch and Book of Mars and all these other books, we have to be fair. That's a good point. So she's saying that basically the version of the Bible might have been altered where we don't know that they were both created at the same time. Is that kind of what you're saying?
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Because after that, then it later in Genesis talks about the Adam and Eve story. So,
but some people say that Lilith was a demon deity, though.
well, that's what they always do, right?
They don't say that about all women.
No, I'm saying like if there's a character that they don't want,
Oh, right.
we demonize the character of Lilith. So I've studied a good bit about her, and
So when did you learn about Lilith?
Yeah,
I'm curious.
So she was supposedly Adam's first wife.
Okay.
You're gonna love this.
Okay.
So she would not submit to him.
Oh, that's fine.
She would not obey because she didn't want to be his subservient. Like didn't want to be a slave. She wanted to be an equal. So she denied him of some stuff.
Oh, gotcha. So then you're saying the Eve and Adam story, but Eve did the same thing. She didn't do what Adam said. She didn't do what God or Adam said.
Eve was more, in that moment of the tree, something different, but Eve still played the character of the wife. She was more of serving towards, she was okay with not being equal.
I don't see it that way. I see Eve as being a person who was just like Lilith. I see her as being the same. She just did it more in a deceptive way.
I mean, that we can
go
even to the tree and add and look into that. Like, the cool thing is this is what I think is cool about all of it. I used to be church hurt. I was like, that Christian.
Right.
But it's a beautiful process discovering who you are because the church serves such a beautiful, strong purpose for me in that season. And it is the deconstruction of idolism, pastors. I mean, even what I explained to you being on,
Right.
you know,
I got you.
I won't get into all that, but it's, deconstructing. And although it hurts to learn what the truth is, especially when you put a pastor or your husband or an organization or whatever on such a high platform that you dedicated your whole life to their teaching. I can remember learning that the different Bibles said different things. And it was when I carried my King James and New Living, and I was in my closet and I was studying stuff on the Vatican and stuff, and I had this other Bible. I don't know if it's Geneva, but I was reading and comparing, and I was like, this Bible says, I don't remember the exact scripture, but I had to come to Jesus, is what I'm trying to say. I come to Jesus that I've been carrying this book around and putting my whole life into this, and it's like lying to me. It's not even saying what the original Bible or the scripture said. I was crying that night. I threw that book away. I was mad, but it was I had to be real with myself. I have 3 books right here that are all saying different things, and it wasn't making sense. And I had to let go of this ego that held onto my identity as the Christian and just redefine that, what that meant to me, because it didn't mean now. It's the deconstruction process, and it's so hard to do, like what they say now, cognitive dissonance, like dissidence. You can look at something and you can deny it because it's easier to deny it than deal with all the hurt and emotions that you'd have to deal with if you went ahead and
believe it, really just follow the truth of it.
The truth really does hurt sometimes, but sometimes the hurt is meant to be felt so that you can process it, let it go, and walk in your authenticity.
It's exactly what I had to do with, and I've talked to you guys about it many times, I had to do with the mother of my daughter, is that when you get past that moment of truth and face it, then it's easier to know who you are, your authentic self, because who you are is who you are when you're at your worst.
Yeah.
And then that's what needs to be fixed.
Yeah.
Or dealt with, pain-wise. So that way you feel, because the whole objective is to feel no pain under any circumstances. You're just content.
Yeah.
Peace.
And I think that's the beauty of pain, and realizing, like, your healing journey, that pain is there to teach us things, but we don't have to do it to feel that. Like, understood, people die, like, in real life, and life happens, but a lot of our pain is self-sabotage.
You can cut out 99% of your problems just by the people you hang out with.
Mm-hmm.
Seriously. You can cut out a lot of pain just by saying, I love me.
I love me.
And that's enough. Like, I'm cool. Like, I don't have to have people around me to be content. You need people. We need people to, do life. But it can be done in a way where it's structured.
Yeah. When you love yourself, though, you attract people that are the same as you. That's why our dysfunction.
That's somewhat I agree with, but somewhat I don't. Only because darkness also is attracted to light. So it's kind of a catch-22 of being able to have the wisdom and discernment.
Yeah. Agree, but it's still our choice. Like, I can tell you now, 10 years ago, darkness came in front of me, right? And I let it in.
Right.
And now I would know that, hey, that's not light, that's dark, and I'm not going to let it in because I've grown. Now I have discernment, and now I know who I am. So I'm not going to fall prey or be vulnerable to things that are not really love and good. You know what I mean?
Good vibes, yeah. That it goes back to kind of also, there's two things I want to say. So as we wrap this up, so there's two things I want to say. The first one was, I'm kind of piggybacking, and I'm kind of backtracking right now. So we talked about the difference between Bible and versus this Bible versus that Bible versus this, whatever. And the one thing that we all forget is that we're just supposed to love one another. Yeah. And show peace and show harmony. Yeah. Talk a little bit about, if you don't mind. Yeah. The first, the situation where, and we're not going to go into details, but the notion of what it felt like when you were pregnant with your second child and you was about to start filming the Jesus Freak, and what that felt like from people who were judging. Yeah. And you didn't feel that love. Yeah. Yeah. Talk a little bit about that. Yeah. That was a really difficult time. Yeah. And it was the pain that I had to endure for not. It was my lesson. It was part of my lesson. And it was a beautiful lesson because I got my beautiful son out of it. He's such a nice kid. He's so sweet. He's a little angel. Yeah, he's a nice kid. And but it was difficult because, the moment when I told you I was in my closet and I just crying and I'm figuring things out, it's those moments of deconstructing, you know, who we think we are and who we really are and who we've tied ourselves to and tethered ourselves to. And I had a hard lesson to learn at that time. And I was worried about what other people thought back then and, the Christian image and all those things. But I was repeating patterns, the pattern, I chose to repeat a pattern. I chose to let the people into my life at that time because I didn't learn my lesson yet, So, and that's why I talk about trauma, being your teacher all the time, because we can truly, truly alchemize. I love that word now, because you can take what the Bible says, it turn what was meant for evil and turn it to good. All things really do work for the good if you really receive the lesson in it, and you have to deconstruct and really, work on that ego sometimes, especially when it's so tied to who you think you are, But, so yeah, it was a difficult time, but I'm thankful for it. It was weird. During that time, I had people in the church who came to me and were trying to get her fired from the first movie, The Jesus Freak. No, seriously, this is a true story. And they were sending me emails and calling me and trying to get her fired. And I wasn't holy enough. She wasn't holy enough. And she didn't tell me that she was about to, she was pregnant because she didn't want me to judge her. I mean, she didn't want to lose the opportunity to be a part of the film. And it was just a weird time. But I remember what I felt was, how can I, with everything I've been through, with all the trauma I've been through, how could I just be like, I'm just going to sit here and kick her off and replace her with somebody else who's got trauma too? Like, we all are dealing with stuff, you know what I mean? So like, what was the goal of telling me to get rid of her? Like, it didn't make sense to me. Well, there's a perfect woman out here who doesn't have any anything wrong with her. Like that's
That's the
or
church
any man,
mentality, kind of like how the
that's what we're
film
talking
goes
about.
back to. That's
Back
why
to
it's
the
so
film.
true to like the character,
Right.
and it relates to me in real life because like, you know, and it teaches you, like you said, like we all have our stuff that we deal with.
We all
you
have
know?
our stuff we're dealing with.
Yeah.
We're gonna end with this, okay? Because I'm gonna get you.
Uh-oh.
You said today. Oh, I'm gonna get her. I'm gonna get her. I'm right here. See, she thought she thought she was gonna be able to put
What?
this
What?
on my page, and I wasn't gonna see it because today is a shooting day, and she thought I would just ignore it, not gonna say nothing. Oh, we right here. I'm gonna say something.
What?
So I said,
That crazy.
I was already.
Oh yeah, come.
This is
come on with it.
a quote from Chris Brown that I posted.
Chris Brown.
And I don't agree with the post. I just posted it because I thought it was a very interesting thing to say. You know, and so the quote was,
Interesting.
I was already about to get married and settle down with one girl when 50 Cent reminded me that she would divorce me and take half of my wealth. I don't want to be one of those investors of the divorce business. Men have nothing to gain from marriage. Chris Brown. Well, the first thing she does is put 1,800 laugh emojis on the post, right? That's the first thing she do, right? And then the second thing she do, she go, Lord have mercy. These dudes must really hate themselves to be out here talking this BS. I know you don't believe this because you always talk about wanting to boo up and get hitched. Then I had to respond to that. I said, well, you know what? I don't want to get booed up with anything. I'll stay unmarried before giving my husband charm to a dragon. Then she comes back with, oh, I can't wait to talk about this today, Dragon Slayer. All right, I'm the Dragon Slayer. What's on your mind?
Okay, here's the thing. No matter if you're a man or woman, if either party come in and have this thing that devalues the other side and insinuates there's no value, that honestly, I've had that heart since I was young, growing up in a racist town. Somebody's
Right. Oh yeah, I know.
what I do.
Right. I got you.
So I mean, like, I'm very passionate about that. So that post to me was like, I mean, he's saying there's no value to a woman. What's she bring to the table? Like, somebody that doesn't value a woman, like a woman of value, wouldn't want to talk to somebody like that, because a man that like knows who he is, will value a woman and never say something like that.
Okay, that's fair. But you do understand I posted that because I honestly disagreed with it too. But I think one of the things that we don't do is allow people to express themselves so that we can see how many other people feel this way. Because I think that that's how you expose things. You know, you expose it by saying, this is a thought. Let me observe this thought.
Yeah.
Now, why is this thought being made?
I would have not thought that, you posting it.
That's
'cause
why
to
I
me,
post a lot of stuff like that.
Yeah, so
Just
to
to
me,
get
I was
people to
like,
think.
and get our feathers ruffled.
Yeah, that too. So I can get comments like hers.
Dragon Slayer.
Dragon Slayer.
your
I'm
new
like, oh, no,
nickname.
she didn't. I'm going to get her today when I see her. But no, I think that it's important that I post stuff like that because I want people who do believe in love, believe in marriage, believe in God, to see that this is our society.
Yeah.
This is where we are. Your little bubble of happiness means nothing if other people are not able to understand that they can have that happiness too.
Yes, and I'm very passionate about that. Like, it bothers me when somebody's not happy around me. It always have. To a point, it used to
Yeah, I learned
drain
that
me.
yesterday on set. I came to set, man, and I'm just like thinking about the shots and everything. She's like, what's wrong? I'm an empath. Tell me what's wrong. Yeah. I'm like, white woman, if you don't shut the flip up, what's wrong with you? I'm in work mode.
And that's the thing. It's so true. Sometimes you might have a gift, but you need to know when and when not to use it too. Like, that's a good situation.
You know what I learned?
How to, like,
you know what I learned though about
express
that?
it or not express.
You know what I learned about that? She's a tough cookie on the outside, but on the inside, she's a baby. She's a baby, man. Because I was like, she did all that toughness. You know, you would think her attitude would be, I don't care what's wrong with him. But it was, she really cared. Like I really got from that you really cared about what was going on. And I was like, so she is a woman. She's not trans. No, I'm just kidding. I'm going to take that out. Let me take that out.
You're going to get us censored for it.
Yeah, we're going to get really censored. What I meant by it was transportation. Yeah, that's what I meant. Transportation. Yeah. So anyway, thank you for doing. Thank you for doing.
Transporting your camera and stuff to the next location.
Yeah. So anyway, what I got from that when I came to set yesterday was that you were concerned and cared, but it's interesting how, we judge others just not really knowing the behind the scenes, and that's what I learned today. I learned a lot, and that is you actually care, and that's why you have these views. You're very caring, and you wanted to see it done right. No matter what, you just want it to be done right.
Yeah.
And if it's not done right, you want to figure out why it's not being done the correct way. Yeah. Because you don't want to go through any more stress and drama and pain. And and I think that's important that we study and investigate our lives, in that way. So
yeah.
Thank you, Crystal, for doing this show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for doing the podcast. I appreciate you. Love you. Until next time, guys.
Until next
Be
time.
blessed. Peace.
Dragon Slayer.
Dragons.